A wise monk, revered for his deep wisdom and discipline, was traveling through a village on his way to the mountains. His path took him along a narrow dirt road, lined with small huts and bustling marketplaces. He walked with a calm demeanor, his saffron robes flowing gently with each step. As he reached the village square, he noticed a young boy struggling to lift a heavy sack of grain. The boy's small frame trembled under the weight, and sweat dripped down his brow. The monk, moved by compassion, stepped forward and placed a gentle hand on the boy's shoulder. "Let me help you," he said kindly. Together, they lifted the sack and placed it on the boy's cart. The boy, relieved and grateful, bowed respectfully. "Thank you, wise monk," the boy said. "I have heard of your wisdom. May I ask you something that troubles me?" The monk nodded, encouraging him to speak. "How do I stop dirty thoughts in my mind?" the boy asked hesitantly. "Sometimes, my mind is filled with thoughts I do not want, thoughts of greed, anger, and desire. No matter how much I try, they return. What should I do?" The monk smiled, sensing the boy's sincerity. He gestured for the boy to follow him to a nearby tree, where they both sat under its cool shade. "Let me tell you a story," the monk began. Once, two monks were traveling through a forest. On their journey, they came across a river, where a young woman stood, afraid to cross. One of the monks, without hesitation, lifted her in his arms and carried her across. After setting her down, they continued their journey in silence. Hours later, the second monk, unable to hold back his thoughts, said, "Brother, we have taken a vow to avoid contact with women. Yet, you carried her." The first monk replied, "I left her at the riverbank hours ago, but you are still carrying her in your mind." The young boy listened intently as the monk continued. "Do you see? The mind clings to thoughts, just as the second monk clung to the memory of the woman. Dirty thoughts, like all thoughts, are fleeting. The more you resist them, the stronger they become. But if you observe them without attachment, they lose their power over you." "But how do I do that?" the boy asked eagerly. The monk picked up a handful of dry leaves from the ground and let them go. The wind carried them away effortlessly. "Treat your thoughts like these leaves," the monk said. "A thought arises, you acknowledge it, and then you let it pass. Do not fight it, do not judge it, simply watch it. The mind is like a vast sky, thoughts are just passing clouds. They come and go, but the sky remains unchanged." The boy pondered for a moment and then nodded. "So, if I do not hold on to these thoughts, they will eventually disappear?" "Exactly," the monk affirmed. "The more you practice mindfulness, the less power these thoughts will have over you. Fill your mind with good deeds, kindness, and wisdom, and the impure thoughts will naturally fade away." The boy bowed deeply, his heart lightened with newfound understanding. "Thank you, wise monk. I will remember your words and practice letting go." The monk smiled, stood up, and continued his journey, knowing he had planted a seed of wisdom in the boy's heart. As the boy watched him disappear down the road, he felt a deep sense of peace, ready to face his thoughts with a new perspective.